He had nothing, yet this human outbid a cruel alien to save alien sisters. No one noticed the human at first. That was how Dylan Lynch survived, by being invisible. On Nexus Station, humans were common but unimportant, too weak to scare anyone, too poor to matter. Dylan moved through the lower levels like a shadow, keeping his head down, his hands empty, his expectations low. The station was loud and dirty. Pipes leaked steam. Old lights flickered. Alien voices echoed in 100 different tones. This was the black market level where law ended and profit ruled. Dylan had come here looking for scrap. Again. His ship needed parts. His stomach needed food. His luck had run out weeks ago. He checked a broken fuel coupling, shook his head and tossed it aside. Worthless. Figures, he muttered. 2 years ago, people used to wait in line for his help. Dylan had been one of the best mechanics on Astra Station. Clean clothes, steady pay, a small room he could call home. Then the plague came. Then the lies. Someone needed a criminal. Dylan was convenient. Now Astra Station was dead. His name was ruined, and the galaxy had moved on without him. Dylan turned toward the docking bays, ready to leave empty-handed. That was when the announcement echoed through the corridor. Final sale, Section 12, last chance. Section 12. Dylan slowed his steps. Everyone knew Section 12 was bad. Illegal goods, violent buyers, things you could not unsee. He should have turned away. He didn't. The crowd thinned as he moved deeper. The air felt heavier here. Eyes watched him more closely. Then he saw the platform. 4 small figures stood on it. They were not weapons, not machines, not animals. They were children. They stood barefoot on cold metal, hands tied together. Thin dresses clung to their small frames. Paper bags covered their heads, stained and torn. Dylan stopped breathing for a moment. A pink-skinned alien stood beside them, tall and wide, his skin folded like melted wax. His voice was calm, practiced. Cerulean females, he announced. Rare, valuable. Ceruleans. Dylan's jaw tightened. The Cerulean homeworld had burned during the war. Survivors scattered, hunted, forgotten. Their kind was known for empathy, for deep emotional bonds. That made them valuable. Too valuable. Bidding begins at 2,000 credits, the alien said, 2 at a time. A large gray alien raised a claw. 2,000. 2,500, another voice answered. Dylan's feet moved without permission. He told himself to leave. He told himself this was not his problem. Then a sound cut through the noise. A quiet sob. Soft shaking. One of the smallest figures trembled. A tiny blue hand reached sideways, grabbing another hand tightly. Sisters will be sold separately, the pink alien said without emotion. Higher profit. Something inside Dylan cracked. The gray alien laughed. 3,000. The crowd murmured in approval. Dylan felt his heart pounding in his ears. 3,500. Silence fell like a dropped blade. Heads turned. Eyes narrowed. The pink alien stared at Dylan. Which two human? Dylan swallowed. All of them. The crowd laughed. The pink alien sneered. 6,000 minimum. Dylan pulled out his credit chip. This is everything I have, he said. 3,500. The gray alien snarled. Human has no right. Dylan stepped forward. His voice shook, but he did not stop. Sell them to me, he said, or I report you for sentient trafficking. It was a lie. Everyone knew security here was bought. But lies only needed a moment to work. The pink alien hesitated. Just a second. Then he grabbed the chip, scanned it, and nodded. Take them, he hissed, and remember who you stole from. Dylan did not answer. He climbed onto the platform and untied the ropes. His hands were gentle, careful. He pulled off the paper bags. 4 faces stared up at him. Blue skin, silver eyes, fear everywhere. The tallest girl stood straight, trying to be brave. "It's okay," Dylan said softly. "You're safe." Her voice was quiet. Why? Dylan did not know the answer. "Because I couldn't walk away," he said. "I'm Dylan." "I am Linda," she replied. "These are my sisters, Arda, Nova, Celeste." Celeste was the smallest. She stepped forward and reached for him. Dylan lifted her into his arms without thinking. The crowd watched as he walked away. Angry eyes followed him. Promises of violence. In the corridor beyond the market, Dylan moved fast. His thoughts were loud now. No credits. No food. No plan. 4 lives depending on him. Celeste looked up at his face. "Are we staying together?" she asked. "Yes," Dylan said. He did not know how. He only knew he would not break that promise. Behind him, unseen but very real, powerful enemies were already moving. The galaxy had just watched a human make a choice. A small choice. A costly choice. And soon it would learn why that was a very bad mistake. Humans do walk away. The moment Dylan left the platform, the hunt began. He could feel it. On Nexus Station, danger had a presence. It pressed against the skin, it followed footsteps, and now it followed him. Dylan moved fast through the metal corridors, his boots striking the floor in short, careful steps. The station lights flickered above him, casting broken shadows across the walls. He kept his head low and his eyes forward. Behind him, the black market returned to its noise. But the silence ahead was worse. Celeste sat in his arms, light as air, her small fingers gripping his vest tightly. Her silver eyes kept scanning the corridor, wide and alert. The other 3 girls walked close together, holding hands just as Dylan had seen on the platform. Linda, the oldest, tried to stay strong. Her shoulders were stiff, her chin was raised, but fear lived in her eyes. "Stay close," Dylan said quietly, "no matter what." They nodded. He turned left into a maintenance passage, narrower and darker. This part of the station was old, forgotten. Coolant pipes ran along the ceiling. The air smelled of oil and dust. Good. Fewer witnesses. Fewer hunters. Dylan's mind raced. He had no credits left, no safe place, no real weapon. His ship was barely working, and even if he reached it, fuel alone would be a problem. He had bought 4 children he could not protect. A smart man would have walked away. A smart man would not have bid. A smart man would have survived alone. Dylan was not walking away. They reached a junction. Dylan slowed and pressed himself against the wall, peeking around the corner. 2 gray-skinned aliens stood ahead, scanning the crowd. Big, armed, looking for something. Looking for him. Dylan pulled back fast. "We're not going that way," he whispered. He turned and pushed open a service hatch, guiding the girls inside. The tunnel beyond was cramped and dim. The floor vibrated softly with the station's power flow. Dylan knew these tunnels well. Years ago, he had repaired them, back when his name still meant something. "I'm scared," Arda whispered, her voice shaking. Dylan looked at her. "That's okay," he said. "Being scared means you know something matters." Celeste pressed her face against his chest. Dylan felt her fear like heat spreading through him, not just heard it, felt it. He froze. That wasn't normal. He shook his head and kept moving. The tunnel opened into a wider service corridor near the diplomatic sector, cleaner, brighter. Guards patrolled in the distance. Almost safe. Almost. Then Dylan crashed into someone. Strong hands caught his shoulders, stopping him from falling. Careful, a calm voice said. Dylan looked up. She was tall, silver-skinned. Her hair was pale, almost white, falling smoothly over her shoulders. Her eyes were deep violet, sharp and focused. Not a station worker. Not a traitor. Something else. Her gaze dropped to the children. Ceruleans, she said softly. Dylan shifted, instinctively putting himself between her and the girls. I bought them, he said quickly. They're not for sale. The woman raised one hand. Easy, I'm not here to take them. Her eyes met his, studying, measuring. You're being followed, she said, by someone dangerous. Dylan let out a short laugh. You're late. Her lips curved slightly. Morton does not forgive public embarrassment, especially from a human. So she knew. Who are you? Dylan asked. Selene, she replied. Lunari. That explained the confidence. The Lunari were powerful, quiet, political. And you? She asked. Dylan, just a mechanic. She glanced at the children again. You spent everything to keep them together. Yes. Why? Dylan did not hesitate, because splitting them was wrong. Selene looked at him longer this time. Come with me, she said. I have a ship, diplomatic access. Morton's men won't follow. Dylan hesitated. Trust was expensive. But footsteps echoed behind them. Heavy. Close. He looked down at Celeste. She looked back at him and nodded once. Like she understood. Lead the way, Dylan said. They moved quickly. Selene guided them through hidden doors and quiet corridors. Guards saluted her, no questions asked. They reached a private docking bay. A sleek silver ship waited inside, smooth, elegant, alive. The Star Dancer, Selene said. Get them inside. Dylan helped the girls aboard. The ship was warm. Soft lights adjusted as they entered. Food and water appeared without command. The girls froze, unsure. You're safe, Dylan said, for now. As the hatch closed, alarms echoed faintly in the distance. Selene moved to the controls. We leave now. The ship lifted smoothly, slipping away from Nexus Station. Dylan watched the station shrink into the darkness. Only then did he feel it fully. Fear. Not his own. Celeste. It wrapped around his thoughts, tight and desperate. Dylan frowned. Something was happening. Something impossible. Behind them, far away but very real, enemies were already preparing. They thought this was a simple retrieval. They were wrong. Because humans don't walk away. And when humans choose to protect, they don't stop until the threat is gone. The ally who knew the truth. The ship did not sound like a weapon. That was the first thing Dylan noticed. As the Star Dancer pulled away from Nexus Station, its engines hummed softly, almost like a song. No shaking, no loud roar, just smooth movement through space. Dylan stood near the wall, still holding Celeste. His body was tense, ready for danger that had not arrived yet. Years of surviving alone had trained him well. The three older sisters stood together, unsure where to go. Linda watched everything. The walls, the lights, Selene. Selene stood at the controls, calm and focused. Her silver skin reflected the soft blue glow of the ship's panels. She moved with confidence, like someone who belonged in danger. We are clear of the station, she said, for now. Dylan did not relax. For now, he repeated. Selene glanced at him. You don't trust easily. Experience, Dylan replied. She nodded, fair. She guided the ship into open space, away from the trade lanes. Only then did she turn fully to face him. You should know, she said, Morton is not just a slaver. Dylan shifted Celeste in his arms. I figured. He supplies ceruleans to military researchers, Selene continued. Their empathic abilities can be harvested. Linda's breath caught. What does that mean? Nova asked quietly. Selene paused. It means they don't survive, Dylan said. The room fell silent. Celeste pressed closer to him. Dylan felt it again, that strange warmth, fear that wasn't his. He frowned but said nothing. You knew this, Dylan said to Selene, before today. Yes, she replied. I have been tracking Morton for months. Then why didn't you stop him? Selene's jaw tightened. Politics. That answer said everything. She gestured to a side corridor. The girls can rest there. The ship will adjust to cerulean needs. Linda hesitated, then nodded. She led her sisters away. Celeste looked back at Dylan. He smiled gently. I'll be right here. She nodded and followed them. Once they were gone, the ship felt quieter, smaller. You could have left them, Selene said. Most would. Dylan leaned against the wall. Most people walk away when it's hard. And you? I walk toward the problem, he said. Usually regret it. Selene studied him with new interest. You are different from what the galaxy believes humans are. Dylan laughed softly. Violent, stupid, dangerous. Yes, she said honestly, and selfish. He shrugged. Some are. Yet you spent everything to protect 4 alien children. They were scared, Dylan replied. That's all I needed. Selene turned back to the controls. Morton will follow us. Let him, Dylan said. I'm done running. Her eyes flicked toward him. Brave or foolish? Those two get confused a lot. An alert chimed. Selene's expression sharpened. We have a problem. Dylan moved beside her. On the display a ship appeared, large, fast. Krell Hunter class, Dylan said. Military grade. Yes, Selene replied. Piloted by Drax. Who? Morton's enforcer, she said. He does not fail. The Star Dancer shook as it accelerated. They're gaining, Dylan said. Our ship is fast, Selene answered, but not faster. Dylan's mind shifted gears. Fear faded. Focus replaced it. Where are we? Near the outer belt. Dylan pointed to a cluster on the screen. Asteroid field. That would tear us apart, Selene said. Not if we're careful, Dylan replied. Kill non-essential systems. Run quiet. She hesitated. Then she nodded. Your plan. Dylan took the controls. The ship responded instantly. Smooth, precise. He guided them into the asteroid field. Massive rocks spun slowly, blocking sensors and weapons. Shots fired behind them. Explosions lit the dark. Dylan moved the ship like it was part of him. Left, down, spin, stop. The hunter ship struggled to follow. You fly like you were born here, Selene said. I grew up fixing broken ships in worse places, Dylan replied. You learn fast or you die. A rock scraped the hull. The Star Dancer shuddered but held. Finally, the enemy ship slowed. They're backing off, Selene said. You did it. Dylan exhaled. Only then did he feel it again. Relief. Not his. Celeste. It brushed his thoughts like a gentle touch. He froze. That child, he said slowly, she can feel me. Selene turned sharply. What? She feels what I feel. Understanding flashed in Selene's eyes. That's impossible, she whispered. Ceruleans only bond with their own. Dylan stared at the stars ahead. Then the galaxy is wrong, he said. Behind them, Morton's ship vanished into the dark. But the war had already begun. Not with weapons. With a human who refused to walk away. The bond no one thought possible. The first thing Dylan felt was not fear. It was warmth. Not physical heat, but something deeper, like standing close to a fire on a cold night. The feeling came suddenly, quietly, and it did not belong to him. Dylan opened his eyes slowly. The Star Dancer drifted through empty space, lights dimmed, systems running low. The ship was silent except for the soft hum of its engines. For a moment, Dylan forgot where he was. Then the warmth returned. Stronger this time. He sat up. The feeling was gentle, emotional, alive. Relief, trust, comfort. Dylan's chest tightened. "This is not normal," he whispered. He stood and walked toward the children's cabin. The door slid open silently. Inside, the four cerulean sisters slept close together on the lower bunks. Linda and Arda held hands even in sleep. Nova was curled near the wall. Celeste lay on her side, eyes open. She was awake. And she was smiling. Dylan froze. She looked directly at him, silver eyes glowing softly in the low light. "You're not scared anymore," Celeste said quietly. Dylan's heart skipped. "How do you know that?" he asked. She tilted her head. "I can feel it." The warmth rushed through him again. Dylan stepped back. "That's not possible," he said, more to himself than to her. Celeste sat up slowly. "It just happened when you were flying, when you didn't give up." Dylan swallowed. Ceruleans were empathic. Everyone knew that. They could feel emotions within their own kind, sometimes within close allies. But this was different. "Go back to sleep," Dylan said gently. "We'll talk later." Celeste nodded. She lay down again, calm and peaceful, like a child who trusted the universe. Dylan left the room shaken. Celine was waiting in the corridor. "You felt it too, didn't you?" she asked. Dylan stared at her. "You knew." "I sensed a shift," she replied, "something rare." They moved to the cockpit. Stars drifted past the viewport like silent witnesses. "That child," Dylan said, "she's connected to me." Celine folded her arms slowly. "A cross-species empathic bond." "You said that wasn't possible." "I said it wasn't known," Celine corrected. Dylan ran a hand through his hair. "I didn't do anything." "That may be the reason," Celine said. "You acted without calculation, without profit, without fear." She turned to him. "Ceruleans respond to intention, not species." Before Dylan could reply, an alert sounded. Celine turned sharply to the console. "Multiple signals," she said. "They're searching again." Dylan stepped forward. "Morton." "And others," Celine replied. "He is not alone in this." She pulled up encrypted data. Symbols and logs filled the screen. "These are research records," she said quietly. "Hidden stations, experiments." Dylan read the words slowly. "Empathic extraction. Subject viability, low. Age range 412. Outcome fatal." His hands clenched. "They kill them," he said. "Yes," Celine replied. "They turn emotion into weapons." Silence filled the cockpit. "They were never just slaves," Dylan said. "They were fuel." Celine nodded. "That is why Morton will never stop hunting us." From the corridor came soft footsteps. Linda stood there listening. "You knew," she said to Celine, "about our people." "Yes," Celine replied gently, "and I failed to stop it sooner." Linda looked at Dylan. "You didn't fail." Dylan met her eyes. "I won't." Another alert chimed. Celine's voice hardened. "We cannot run forever." Dylan looked at the stars ahead, then at the children behind him. "No," he said, "but we can choose where we stop." Celine studied him. "You're planning something." "A trap," Dylan said simply. "Humans are good at those." Her lips curved slightly. "So I've learned." The ship shifted course, heading toward uncharted space. Behind them, enemies moved. Ahead of them, something new was forming. Not an army. Not a weapon. A bond. The galaxy had always believed humans were dangerous because they fought. It was wrong. Humans were dangerous because they cared. And now, for the first time in known history, a cerulean child had proven it. The war was no longer about survival. It was about protection. And that was the kind of war humans never lost. When humans stopped running, the station was dead. No voices, no traffic, no signals moving in or out. That alone made Dylan uneasy. The abandoned mining outpost drifted slowly above a gray moon, its metal surface scarred by old impacts and years of neglect. Long ago, machines had pulled valuable ore from this place. Now it was only silence and dust. Silence was dangerous. Dylan stood inside the main control chamber, staring at half-broken panels and loose cables. Emergency lights glowed weakly, painting the room in dull red shadows. He wiped sweat from his forehead and exhaled slowly. "This place will work," he said. Celine stepped beside him, scanning the structure with practiced eyes. "It is hidden. No active signals, no patrols." "Exactly," Dylan replied. "If someone comes here, it's because they want something bad enough to risk it." She looked at him. "You're certain Morton will come?" Dylan nodded. People like him don't send others when profit is personal. In another section of the outpost, the Cerulean sisters waited inside a reinforced room Dylan had converted into a safe zone. Extra power, thick doors, multiple exits. Linda watched him work closely. "You've done this before." "Too many times," Dylan said, "usually to save my own life." "And now?" Arda asked. "Now," he said, tightening a bolt, "I'm saving yours." Celeste sat quietly nearby, drawing shapes in the dust with her finger. Every so often, Dylan felt her calm reach him, steady and warm. It helped more than he wanted to admit. When the last wire snapped into place, Dylan stepped back and looked around. Pressure traps, electromagnetic pulses, false corridors, old mining charges wired to collapse specific paths. All built from scrap. All human. Celine crossed her arms. Most species require advanced weapons for this level of defense. Dylan smiled faintly. Humans use whatever's nearby. They moved to the communication array at the top of the outpost. Celine adjusted the signal, disguising it as a weak Cerulean distress call. Broken, panicked, tempting. 15 survivors, she said softly, including children. Dylan nodded. That'll do it. The signal went live. Now they waited. Time passed slowly. Dylan sat against a wall, checking his weapon again and again. His shoulder still ached from the earlier fight, but he ignored it. Pain was familiar. Fear was not. Celine watched him quietly. "You are calm," she said. "I'm focused," Dylan replied. "Big difference." She smiled slightly. "You have changed since we met." "So have you," he said. Her eyes softened. "Perhaps." An alert chimed. Dylan stood instantly. "They're here," Celine said. On the monitor, 3 ships appeared. 1 large, 2 smaller escorts. Morton had come. "They brought muscle," Dylan muttered. "They always do," Celine replied. The ships landed exactly where Dylan wanted them to. The first enemy team entered the outpost cautiously, armed, confident. Too confident. "Wait," Dylan whispered. They moved deeper. "Wait." Footsteps echoed. "Now." Dylan triggered the first trap. The floor gave way beneath half the group. Bodies vanished into a containment pit below. Alarms screamed. Panic spread. Blaster fire erupted. Celine activated the second sequence. A pulse surged through the corridor. Enemy weapons died instantly. Shouts turned to screams. Morton's voice echoed through the facility, angry, afraid. "Find them," he roared. Dylan moved through the side tunnels, fast and silent. His heart beat hard, but his mind was clear. This was what humans did when cornered. They adapted. Ahead, Drax appeared, massive gray, smiling. "You should have stayed poor and quiet, human," Drax growled. Dylan stopped. "You should have stayed away from children," he replied. They clashed hard. Drax was stronger, faster. But Dylan was stubborn. And he wasn't alone. Fear surged through the bond, not panic, determination. Celeste. Strength flooded Dylan's limbs, sharp and focused. He used it. He triggered the final charge. The ceiling collapsed between them. Drax roared, trapped under falling metal. Dylan didn't wait. He ran. In the main chamber, Selene had Morton pinned. The slaver backed away, weapon shaking in his hand. "This was a mistake," Morton hissed. "You have no idea who you are fighting." "I know exactly who you are," Dylan said, stepping forward, "and what you did." Morton fired. The shot grazed Dylan's shoulder. Before Morton could fire again, Selene disarmed him and forced him to the ground. "It's over," she said coldly. The Cerulean sisters entered the room cautiously. Celeste ran to Dylan. Her small hands touched his wound. Warmth spread. The pain vanished. Morton stared in disbelief. "A healer," he whispered. "Impossible." "She's not impossible," Dylan said. "You just never saw her as a person." Sirens wailed outside, ships arriving. Not enemies. Allies. Selene had sent the evidence. As Morton was taken away, Dylan looked at the girls. They were safe. For the first time, truly safe. Selene stepped beside him. "The galaxy will feel this." Dylan nodded. "Good. Because when humans stop running, the universe learns something important. Compassion is not weakness. It is a weapon. And humans wield it better than anyone ever expected." "You made the wrong human angry." The alarms did not stop. They screamed through the mining outpost like wounded animals, bouncing off metal walls and shaking the floor. Red lights flashed again and again, turning every shadow into something dangerous. Dylan felt the sound in his bones. This was the moment when plans failed. This was the moment when people ran. He did neither. He moved forward through the smoke-filled corridor, weapon ready, jaw tight. His shoulder burned where the blaster shot had grazed him earlier, but the pain only sharpened his focus. Behind him, Selene secured Morton with energy restraints. The slaver struggled, his earlier confidence gone, replaced by fear. "You think this ends here," Morton spat. "My allies will erase you." Dylan didn't look at him. "Good," he said. "Then they'll know where to find me." A heavy impact shook the outpost. Dust rained from the ceiling. Selene's eyes widened. Drax. Another crash followed, closer this time. "He survived the collapse," Dylan said. "Of course he did." The lights flickered, then died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the hall in pale blue light. From the darkness came a low laugh. Slow, confident. Drax stepped into view. He was massive, his gray skin cracked and bleeding in places, metal debris still clinging to his armor. His black eyes locked onto Dylan. "You broke my hunt," Drax growled. "Now I break you." Dylan stepped forward instead of back. That surprised Drax. "Humans always run," the enforcer said. "Only when there's nothing worth staying for," Dylan replied. Drax charged. The impact threw Dylan across the chamber. He slammed into a support beam, the air leaving his lungs in a sharp burst of pain. His weapon skidded across the floor. Drax stalked closer, slow and certain. "You are weak," he said, "small, soft." Dylan coughed and pushed himself up. "Yeah," he said, "that's what everyone thinks." Drax grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. Dylan's feet kicked uselessly. His vision darkened. Across the chamber, Selene fired, but Morton lunged at her, forcing her to defend herself. For the first time since the outpost trap was triggered, Dylan felt fear. Not his own. Celeste. Her fear flooded the bond, sharp and desperate. Then something changed. The fear became resolve. Strength poured through Dylan's body, not like muscle but like purpose, like four voices pushing him forward at once. He grabbed Drax's wrists. The Voidborn paused, confused. Dylan twisted, slamming his forehead into Drax's face. The grip loosened. Dylan dropped, gasping, rolling across the floor to his weapon. He fired. Once. Twice. The shot staggered Drax but did not stop him. Drax roared and charged again. Dylan stood his ground. The third shot hit Drax square in the chest. The Enforcer fell to one knee, stunned. Dylan didn't hesitate. He fired again. Drax collapsed. The silence that followed was heavy. Across the chamber, Selene disarmed Morton with a sharp strike and forced him to the ground. The slaver's cold expression had shattered into panic. "It's over," she said. Morton laughed weakly. "You think exposure matters. The galaxy runs on power." Dylan walked over and crouched in front of him. "The galaxy also watches," he said, "and today it watched you lose." Footsteps echoed behind them. Linda appeared first, leading her sisters. They had followed the escape route Dylan had shown them. "I told you to stay hidden," Dylan said, though relief softened his voice. "Celeste said you needed us," Linda replied. Celeste broke free and ran to Dylan. She touched his wounded shoulder. Warmth spread instantly. The pain faded. The bleeding stopped. Selene stared in shock. "She's healing you." Morton's eyes lit up with greedy horror. "A healer, do you know what she's worth?" Dylan stood, placing himself between Morton and the children. "She's worth her life," he said, "and you're never touching it again." Sirens echoed again, this time different. Approaching ships. Selene checked the scanner, Lunari Security and others. "Allies," Dylan said. "Yes," Selene replied, "because you gave them proof." Morton slumped as security forces stormed in, weapons trained, evidence already transmitted across diplomatic channels. As Morton and Drax were taken away, Dylan finally allowed himself to breathe. The outpost grew quiet. The danger passed. Selene stepped beside him. "You nearly died." "Yeah," Dylan said. "Happens when people mess with humans." She looked at him. "You fought like someone protecting more than himself." Dylan glanced at the four Cerulean sisters, standing together safe. "For the first time," he said, "I was." Outside the outpost, ships formed a protective ring. The war was not over. But something had shifted. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would not forget. You can underestimate human strength. You can underestimate human weapons. But if you underestimate human compassion, you won't survive the mistake. The price humans gladly pay. History did not record the battle. There were no statues raised on the broken moon, no medals given, no speeches made about courage or sacrifice. The galaxy preferred clean stories with clear heroes and neat endings. This was not one of those stories. 3 months after the outpost fell silent, Dylan Lynch stood at a wide viewport on New Cerulean Station, watching a transport ship descend slowly toward the docking ring. Its engines burned soft blue, careful and controlled. Inside that ship were children. Rescued children. Not only Ceruleans, but others too. Victims pulled from hidden labs and forgotten prisons after Morton's network collapsed. The evidence Dylan and Selene had released had cracked something deep inside the galactic system. Not enough to fix everything. Enough to change things forever. Behind Dylan, quiet footsteps approached. "You've been staring at that sky for a long time," Selene said gently. He smiled without turning, just making sure it's real. She joined him, her silver skin glowing softly in the station's warm light. Around them, New Cerulean felt alive. Plants grew in open domes. Laughter echoed in distant corridors. Life continued, stubborn and hopeful. "They're docking now," Selene said. Dylan nodded. "Good." For a long moment, neither spoke. The universe outside the viewport was vast and uncaring. It always had been, but something inside Dylan had changed. He was no longer drifting. "You know," Selene said, "the Lunari Council still struggles to explain what you did." "That makes sense," Dylan replied. "I don't fully understand it myself." "You disrupted centuries of policy," she continued. "Neutrality, silence, calculation." He finally turned to her. "Sometimes doing the math means deciding who you're willing to lose." Selene met his gaze. "And humans?" "We don't accept that equation," Dylan said simply. A small voice interrupted them. "Papa." Dylan's heart lifted instantly. Celeste stood behind them, holding a small flowering plant she had coaxed back to life with her healing touch. Her silver eyes were bright, calm, confident. "It's time," she said. "They're here." Linda, Arda, and Nova joined her. They looked healthier now, stronger, not just alive but growing. Dylan knelt in front of them, ready to help welcome the new arrivals. Linda nodded. "They're scared." "So were you," Dylan said, "and look at you now." They walked together toward the docking bay. When the doors opened, the station filled with quiet tension. Children stepped out slowly, unsure, watching every movement. Guards stood back. No chains, no shouting. Just space. Just choice. One small cerulean boy hesitated, frozen in place. Dylan stepped forward and knelt again, lowering himself to the child's level. "You're safe," he said. "No one's selling you anymore." The boy studied him carefully. "Why?" Dylan smiled. "Because someone decided you were worth more than credits." The boy reached out. Behind Dylan, Selene watched the moment with quiet emotion. The galaxy would never fully understand what had happened here. Analysts would debate it. Councils would argue. Military leaders would adjust strategies. But refugees remembered. They remembered the human who paid everything he had and asked for nothing back. Later that night, the station lights dimmed into artificial twilight. Dylan and Selene stood on a private balcony overlooking the nebula beyond Cerulean space. Colors moved slowly across the stars like living paint. "Do you ever regret it?" Selene asked softly. "Regret what?" "Spending your last credits that day, starting all of this." Dylan didn't answer right away. He thought of hunger, of fear, of being alone. Then he thought of laughter in the gardens, of Celeste's calm warmth, of Linda teaching younger children their lost history. "No," he said, "that was the best deal I ever made." Selene leaned into him, resting her head against his shoulder. "You know how they tell your story now." He sighed. "Please tell me they made me sound smarter." She smiled. "They say a human started a war without firing the first shot." "Sounds dangerous." "They say he fought with compassion," she continued, "and that scared the powerful more than any weapon." Dylan looked out at the stars. "Good." Celeste's voice drifted from inside. "Papa, Mama, come see." They joined her in the garden dome. A withered plant stood in the center. Celeste placed her hands gently on its stem. Slowly, leaves unfurled. Color returned. Life answered kindness. Dylan felt joy through their bond, pure, bright. Selene watched, eyes shining. "The galaxy studied weapons for centuries," she said, "and missed the strongest one." Dylan wrapped an arm around her. "Love." "Choice," she replied, "to protect instead of profit." As the nebula shifted beyond the glass and children laughed in the distance, the universe moved on as it always did. But somewhere deep in its endless dark, a truth had taken root. You can buy armies. You can build fleets. You can rule through fear. But when you threaten the innocent, and a human decides to care. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for more amazing videos.